What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal today, man. Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Hope you guys are ready for a Sunday slate of Week 15 NFL games. Hope you guys are ready to begin to wrap up Week 15 of the 2022 fantasy football season. It has been a crazy one so far. A lot of action yesterday. We went over everything in last night's stream, but nonetheless, you guys know what time it is, man. Time for some live Week 15 fantasy Q&A. So hop in the live chat, man. Let me know what's popping. Let me know what you guys need. Start, sits, ads, drops, last second additions from the waiver wire. How did yesterday's games affect you? What do you need out of today's games? What is your roster confidence? Who you starting? Who you setting? Whatever it may be. Weather updates, injury updates. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football. Hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button. Of course, if you were new to the channel, like I said, hop in the live chat. Let's get it going, man. So, I don't think there's any weather that we need to worry about today. So, I'll double check here, but that's usually what we check right away when we start the Sunday stream. So let's see. Yeah, I think really the only games we needed to worry about were Ravens, Browns, and Bills, Dolphins. But I think overall we're trying to check. I don't see anything like super up to date, so that's probably a good sign. Hold on. Steelers, Panther? No. Oh, no, that game's clear. Yeah, everything else looks good to me. All right, so weather looks good today. Don't need to worry about that. We didn't really need to worry about yesterday's games either, although I worried. But what are you gonna do? Elliot, what's good, my guy? Good to see you, bro. What up, what up, what up? Faded Waddle yesterday, put up numbers, but I think it was still a good process. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that last night because Waddle was a player who, it wasn't necessarily Waddle specifically, just turned out to be Waddle for a lot of you guys, right? But just that game in general was really concerned, you know. And Tyreek Hill had 21.9 points. Waddle had 20.4 points. Tua had 18 points. Raheem Mostert went crazy at 16 points, 136 yards on the ground, and a catch. Jeff Wilson was inactive, of course. So basically everyone who started in that game for the Dolphins played well. And then when we look at the Bills, like, not really too far apart, right? Josh Allen had 35.8 fantasy points. His second best fantasy performance of the year, so literally nothing to worry about there. Devin Singletary got you 10 points. James Cook got you 11 points. Stephon Diggs 10 points. Almost had a touchdown, but did not. Gabe Davis 9 points. Isaiah McKenzie just 4.4 points. And Dawson Knox 21.8 points, 98 receiving yards and a touchdown. So there's literally nothing to be concerned about yesterday. But to be fair, like going into that game, like it was like Snow Bowl, Ice Bowl, snowiest game of the year. There's going to be snow the day before the game, on game day, during the game, and after the game. Like, fans don't know how they're going to get to the game. And then like literally the field is completely cleared. You got some snow at the end. But I think the process is fine, man, because like I went through the same process with you guys, and I was really worried. And there's literally nothing to worry about. So it's definitely a bummer. But if like, you know, I know a lot of you guys were like, I'm just gonna start Waddle. I'm just gonna start Hill. I'm just gonna start Josh Allen. Like I just can't bench them as fantasy playoffs. So I hope that more of you guys did that than less. You know. A nice day for football here in Jersey. Let's go. Purple Cat, what's up, bro? Need help setting my lineup, full PPR. Need one receiver, one running back, and a flex. You got Hopkins, Williams, Pacheco, Jones. Yeah, close calls here, man. I have Pacheco as a must-start running back this week. I love him against the Houston Texans. I have Mike Williams as a must-start receiver. I love him against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, you have to look at it this way, man. The Texans dead last against the running back position in fantasy football. The Tennessee Titans in the bottom 30 against the wide receiver position in fantasy football. And then you look at that game for, look at both these game scripts, right? Look at the game for the Chargers, or between the Chargers and Titans, I should say. Both those teams need a win right now. Like, these are both teams, the Titans trying to stay atop of their division and stay in the playoffs. And then the Chargers trying to stay, in a wild card spot at the moment. So that's going to be a game where neither team's going to let off. Whether one team gets down or it stays competitive, both teams are going to be trying to win this game no matter what. When we look at the game script for the Chiefs and Texans, although the Texans surprised us last week, on a pretty regular basis, we look at a team like the Chiefs going up against a team as bad as the Texans, you would expect that the Chiefs will not need to throw the football as much, and that Pacheco will be a big part of this game plan, right? And it's the Texans. They can't defend the run to save their life. So I love Pacheco, man. He's looked good the last couple of weeks, too. So he's a must-start guy for me. Mike Williams, a must-start guy. The question is in the flex for me, because you got DeAndre Hopkins, who's been phenomenal since his return from injury, and I'm not too worried about the quarterback change. We've seen him play a little bit with McCoy already on the year, right? The matchup is what's tough, right? Denver Broncos, second-best team against opposing wide receivers in fantasy football. Pat Surtain, a very, very, very good corner. Coming off a 12.9 performance, that is Hopkins' lowest scoring game on the season. But he did have a fumble in that game, lost fumble. And it was just a bad game script, right? But the volume for Hopkins is so good, man. He only has 2 games this year with 6 or less targets. Every other game is 11 or more targets. We look at Aaron Jones. Pretty good matchup. The Rams' run defense is not what it was earlier in the season. He's had at least 10 fantasy points in every game since week 10. He only has 3 games on the year where he has not hit at least 10 fantasy points in full PPR. I would probably argue that Jones is kind of the floor. I don't know. That's tough. Hopkins might kind of be the floor play, and Jones might bring a little bit more upside. I think they're really, really, really close, man. Because A.J. Dillon's kind of come on the last 2 weeks, and we're kind of expecting Dillon to continue to kind of perform. So overall, I would kind of trust your gut on that last call there. But I would definitely be starting Mike Williams and Pacheco. And I really think Hopkins versus Aaron Jones is really close. But I might have Hopkins in there in full PPR. It's super close. Like, I could easily see either of those guys outscoring each other. Very, very close. Purple Cat, any defensive standout on the waiver wire? Looking at some defenses that play against bad quarterbacks. Yeah, I kind of like the Saints as an option that I don't feel like really got talked about a lot this week. But obviously they get a rookie quarterback. That usually means good things, So I think they're a good option. The Panthers are a good option as well. But I feel like they just don't bring a lot of upside. The Lions against Zach Wilson could get kind of dangerous, but not a bad option. If the Chiefs are available, they got the Texans, a really good play. Cardinals against Ripien, and the Broncos against Colt McCoy. Either way you want to look at it, are probably a pretty good play. Unless both those defenses just bend and we get a really weird game. A lot of people like the Packers defense going up against the Rams, whether it's Baker Mayfield or Wolford at quarterback. I just am not that crazy about that play because the Packers, it's kind of like looking at the Raiders defense and trying to stream them against Mac Jones this week. It's like, well, the Raiders defense sucks. Look what they did last week. They completely folded against the Rams and under, with 2.5 minutes left and gave you 8 fantasy points when they should have had 18. So I don't really like that play. But yeah, it just depends on who's out there, bro. Josiah, what's up, man? Zeke or Kamara? Or start both and bench Aaron Jones. Very, 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 very close calls here. I actually do like Kamara this week. I do think he will bounce back against the Falcons. And it's kind of like Kamara had such a tough stretch. And then he had a bye week. So it's like a lot of fantasy managers almost forgetting about Kamara. But You look at this stretch between weeks 9 and week 13. I don't know if a running back in fantasy football has had a tougher stretch on the season. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, the Rams, San Fran, and Tampa Bay. I mean, that's tough, right? And he gets Atlanta and Cleveland the next 2 weeks. I think he's going to play really well. And he gets Philly to finish the year. I don't know about that game. But we talked about this a lot. Like, regardless of how Kamara is performing, or and like going into week 12, like regardless of how he performs against San Francisco and Tampa Bay, he's going to have Atlanta and Cleveland, and it's going to be probably pretty good for him. So I probably do go Kamara, but the problem is I really like Zeke. I just don't feel like Zeke is a player we're benching right now. And I got nothing against Aaron Jones, but I feel like I would have Zeke and Kamara in there. But it's super, super close. Like, that's the thing. When we're looking at this caliber of running back, any of these guys can outscore each other. So I would trust your gut there, man. But honestly, all are really good starts. Jane, hello. Good morning to you. I guess not morning, but what's that, Jane? Mike, good morning. What's good, bro? Hello. Niner, what's up, bro? Josh Palmer versus Jamal Williams. Hat PPR. Titans have bad pass defense. They sure do. May go with Palmer. I think that's fine. You know, Jamal Williams has been struggling as of late. He gets a good Jets run defense. But just keep in mind, for Jamal Williams to have a good fantasy stat line, all he needs to do is score a touchdown. He just hasn't scored a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. So, not necessarily out on Jamal Williams, but I do like Josh Palmer. The one thing to worry about with Josh Palmer is you have so many receiving options there. You know, still has at least 6 targets in his last 3 games. But you just have, you got Mike Williams, you got Keenan Allen, you still got DeAndre Carter hanging around, who's only had 2 targets in his last 2 games. Not much of a threat. Then you got Gerald Everett, who's had at least 4 targets in his last 3 games, 6 targets in his last 2 games. And you got Austin frickin' Eckler, who's got 6 targets in his last 3 games with a ceiling of 15 targets. So, like, there's just a lot of receiving options. But you have pretty good volume still out of Josh Palmer since Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have both been on the field healthy. So, I'm not out on Josh Palmer. Don't get me wrong. I would just worry about that. But, like, the Tennessee Titans secondary is so bad that I actually probably would go Palmer in your circumstance, man. Josiah, Latavius Murray, or DeAndre Swift. I'd probably go Swift. You know, it's a tough matchup, but it's like a must-win game for the Lions. And this is kind of the point in the season where some of those potential matchups and everything kind of go out the door, you know. And if the Lions need to win this football game, they're going to do whatever they can to win this football game. And I think Swift brings you a little bit more upside as opposed to Latavius Murray as a backup quarterback at the helm. But still a close call. Albert, what's good, bro? Good to see you, man. What up? Bobby, Goff, Lawrence, or Brady? Whew. Close calls. Because, you know, I do worry about T-Law. Like, just, he's looked really good just coming out and having one of those games where he does not play as well. But he's at home. He has at least 16 fantasy points since week 9. You know, since week 6. Outside of week 8 against Denver, he has 16 or more fantasy points in every game. Quarterback 9 on the season. You know, he looked really, really good last week, but the Tennessee Titans and the Dallas Cowboys are 2 very different teams. It's a home game. That's probably good. You know, Trevor Lawrence is playing the best football from a fantasy perspective out of these quarterbacks. Brady's pretty risky. The Cincinnati Bengals have played pretty good overall against the quarterback position on the season. But I think Goff is the other quarterback to think about here because he's been slinging the football around. But once again, like, it's really been the last 3 games that we've seen, like, the passing game for the Lions really come back to what it was earlier in the season when Goff was like a quarterback we could stream, you know. But 17 or more fantasy points in his last 3 games with a ceiling of 26 points last week against the Minnesota Vikings. But once again, like, the Jets are not the Vikings, you know. I mean, the Vikings won yesterday, but look at the fashion that they did so, you know. But, you know, his last 2 games, 330 passing yards and at least 2 passing touchdowns. So Goff is still an option here, but you just kind of have to look at, like, are you more comfortable because I don't think you go Brady here. For me, it's Goff or Lawrence. Are you more comfortable starting a quarterback against the Jets or against the Cowboys? It's a close call. Mike, what's good, bro? I'm torn with wanting to play Higgins, but I feel like Zay Jones might be the better play. Doesn't help that Zay plays at 1. Yeah, in my opinion, let's see what we got. Higgins is still questionable. He's expected to face the Buccaneers. Gosh. I mean, literally, how does T. Higgins, how did he have a 1% snap share last week? Like, can we trust Higgins? I mean, I don't know if it's Higgins. Can we trust Zach Taylor? Whew. Why am I yawning? Man, Tyler Boyd is banged up with a finger injury, and Hayden Hurst is out. So, like, I would expect they want Higgins to be out there. I mean, like, if Higgins doesn't have the questionable tag, then I'm starting Higgins here. You know, Jones against the Cowboys is fine. Brings some nice upside, some nice boomer bust, nice potential ceiling. And that, but what else comes with Zay Jones is the risk, you know? Because you look at the last 3 weeks, for example, 21 points against Tennessee, 3.6 against Detroit, 27.5 against Baltimore. So it's like very, I mean, literally like the definition of boomer bust, you know? I don't dislike Zay Jones. Probably a better ceiling, but I feel like Higgins is a better overall play. But the issue with Higgins is, like, when he's been questionable this year, it has been really dangerous in fantasy. Elliott rolling with Hunter Henry and half PPR. Jawan Johnson, Conklin, Hooper, Otten are available. I probably stick with Henry, too. I'm good with Henry. It's a good matchup for him. I'll go with Henry. It's tough, though. Like, literally, and you know, like, any of these tight ends can outscore each other, man. We got you, Purple Cat. Of course, bro. Trevor, what's going on, man? Good to have you. What up, what up? Need a flex between Monty, McLaurin, Pacheco, half PPR. Yeah, I think McLaurin's going to have a good day. And I don't hate Monty, but I got to go Pacheco. That's my guy. If Pacheco's a bad game, you guys are going to hate me. But, I mean, he gets the Texans. It's a good game script for him. He's looked good the last couple weeks. Half PPR usually gravitate towards the running back position anyways. Yeah. I'm going to go with my boy Isaiah P. Mike Evans or T. Higgins. What's up, Richie? I'd probably go T. Higgins, but there's risk associated with both these players. Evans, the low volume. Higgins is questionable. So, Big Trev, what up, man? Higgins, Rashad, or Mondre, full PPR, and the flex. Yeah, kind of the issue there is, like, you don't know what's up with Ramondre, right? We still don't have, unless something changed. Game time call, trending in the right direction. Tough. Problem is he doesn't play till a later window, you know? And then you got two other options. I mean, Rashad White plays in the 425 game, so you could, you know, move to him. And so does Higgins. Yeah, that's right. So you might want to wait this one out. I would probably go Ramondre Stevenson if he's good to go. But if not, because you're kind of going to have to wait on Higgins too. Like, I think Higgins is the best overall play, but once again, I mean, we all have trust issues with T. Higgins right now, right? When he's questionable. So, I probably want to go Mondre or Higgins, but I don't mind Rashad White. Like, if you have to pivot to Rashad White, I think that is perfectly okay. So, sorry, I know it's not really a clear answer, but just kind of wait it out, see what happens with those other two guys' statuses, and then make a decision. Luckily, everyone's in the later window, so you're in kind of a good spot here. Booger Dog, I cut Kamara ahead of his bye week after drafting number 2. Now upcoming games look like a better matchup. Yeah, the next two games do look good. Try to encourage you guys not to cut Kamara. But I guess depends on your bench size and size of your league and everything. Christian, who do I start at flex? Evans, Swift, B-Rob, Jones. I'd probably go B-Rob here. I think Brian Robinson's going to have a nice day. It's really interesting because the Washington Commanders and the Giants played like 2 weeks ago, so we kind of have a pretty good like basis to go off of, and most of the starters in that game played pretty well. Monique, would you sit Mike Evans or Christian Watson? I would definitely start Christian Watson over Mike Evans. Albert, T. Higgins or Christian Watson? I would definitely start Christian Watson. I cannot emphasize how much I love Christian Watson. Booger Dog, need one flex. ETN, Kirk, Garrett Wilson, Swift. Standard league. I'd probably still go Garrett Wilson. He's just playing way too good. Him and Zach Wilson had some success earlier in the season, but I mean, honestly, all these guys are pretty good starts. I'm worried about ETN and his matchup, but like, there's still potential there, especially in standard. But I go Garrett Wilson. Dominic, David Monty, or Isaiah Pacheco. I go Pacheco. Give me Pacheco against the Texans all day long. Richie, Brady, or Tannehill. Tannehill or Goff. I go Tannehill, and then I go Goff. And it is a pretty decent matchup for Tannehill. So, the Bengals have just played well against opposing quarterbacks. And, like, Brady's just bringing, like, no upside. None. And, like, I don't know if Ryan Tannehill really brings a ton of upside either. But he's coming off an 18-point performance. You got to do what you got to do, I guess. Richie, DJ Moore at Dotson. Is DJ Moore good to go, or is he still listed as questionable? I forgot to check the injury report, of course. He's active. I go DJ Moore. Steelers have no secondary. But yeah, Dotson had a good game 2 weeks ago against the Giants, but I go Moore. Falcons fan, Greg Dulcich or Freiermuth? I'm sticking by Pat Freiermuth. Start Pat F. I'm sticking with him, man. Off the injury report, tight end 6 on the year. I go with Pat F. Good to see you, Falcons fan. Perry, what's up? Stevenson or ETN? Ooh, it's so tough. It's so tough. Because, I mean, I like Stevenson more. But ETN plays at 1. So if Stevenson's out, you're screwed, right? Just depends on who you can pick up and potentially start over Stevenson. You know, Pierre Strong might be floating around. Do we have an update on Damian Harris? He's out. So Damian Harris is out. So in that circumstance, if you own Ramondre Stevenson, you probably want to go pick up Pierre Strong, which I believe Elliot is, literally bringing up in the chat as well. I 100% agree. All right, Christopher with the $2 dono. Thank you, my dude. I appreciate that. Very, very kind of you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Emojis in the chat for Christopher. Driscoll, Hill, or Conklin. I just don't know that I'm ready to trust Driscoll. I just don't know. I'd probably go Taysom Hill. Call me crazy. It's a really risky option, but the Falcons have been very bad defensively and very bad against opposing tight ends. Very bad against opposing running backs. Very bad against opposing receivers, although A.J. Terrell's out there. He'll be on Olave. But literally very bad against every position that Taysom Hill plays. So, like, in a situation like this, like, and I just don't know if Jeff Driscoll is Taysom Hill. But, man, I get that Driscoll is, like, a really intriguing option, you know. But once again, he gets the Chiefs. He's on the Texans. He had 9 points against Dallas, which is semi-impressive. 36 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Or threw a touchdown. So it's really close there. I think you do go with either Driscoll or Taysom Hill, whoever you trust more. I would personally start Taysom Hill. But it's very close, Christopher. So, Christopher, thank you for the super chat, man. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to break down. I'm trying to kind of go fast here because I know we're a little bit short on time. I got started a little bit later than I wanted to today. G. McD-Hop or Devonta Smith? Given matchup and QB situation, I'm unsure. Yeah, both are good starts. I still think D-Hop brings a safe floor and a bad matchup with the backup quarterback. The volume should still be there. But I go for the upside here. I go with Devonta Smith against the Bears. I actually think the Bears will be able to keep this game semi-competitive. And Devonta Smith has looked so good the last couple weeks. I go with Smith. We got you, Elliott. Booger Dog, Gladys, Sat, Andrews, fingers crossed, starting Komet. Looking at Ingram. I like Komet today. He's basically going to be the #1 option for Fields. I like Komet. Richie, Wilson, Hollywood, or Chris Moore. I don't love Hollywood today. His chemistry with McCoy's not looked as good. Tough matchup, even if Surtain's probably going to be on Hopkins. I like Chris Moore as a sneaky play. Guys, if Chris Moore is available in your league and you need a receiver, I go get Chris Moore, man. But ultimately, I go with Garrett Wilson. All right, Eugene, I skipped your question. Need more wide receivers. I have Watson and Chris Moore. Should I go with Pickens or receiver on the Rams? All three are available. Okay. Interesting. You know, dude, I worry about Pickens because his chemistry with Mitchell Trubisky was not good earlier in the season, while his chemistry with Kenny Pickett was much, much, much better. So, yeah, I think Christian Watson and Chris Moore are both guys you can absolutely start. Didn't you start Chris Moore last week as well? I would go with Van Jefferson. Call me crazy, man. I go with Van. Why not? What do you have to lose? I mean, it's not like Green Bay's secondary has really played that well. Baker's going to start, right? He had good chemistry with Skowronek in Tutu. I'd probably go Van, though. I feel like he's the touchdown guy. And regardless, he has 3 touchdowns in his last 5 games. What do you think, bro? I worry about Pickens. I have a league where we only have 4 bench spots, and I dropped him. But I mean, I have really good receiver. I have like Godwin, Metcalf, Mike Williams, and Devonta Smith. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. All right, but I did drop Pickens today. I'm trying to be strategic. Christopher, Driscoll, Hill, or Conklin. Oh, we got to that one. Okay, sorry. Now I'm behind. All right. Ramondre or Bam? It's tough because if Ramondre sits, then Bam's already played. So I guess I go Bam. It's close. I like Ramondre more if he's healthy. You know what I'm saying? Chiefs or Eagles? I go with the Chiefs. I think the Bears are going to have a pretty good day. SJS, what's up? Need help. Standard League pick 3. B-Rob, Foreman, Etienne, or Juju. In a standard league, I'm usually going to gravitate towards the running back position. I mean, I like Juju, but I don't know how much the Chiefs are going to need to throw the football today, although I said the same thing last week against the Cowboys. So I definitely start B-Rob and Foreman, and then he could go with Etienne or Juju, but they both have kind of bad matchups. You know, Etienne, Cowboys are very, very good against the run. He's struggled in the last 2 weeks against teams that are good against the run. And the Texans have played well against opposing receivers from a fantasy perspective, although they're just so bad against the run that teams barely have to throw the ball against them. If you like Juju more, I think it's okay, but I definitely start B-Rob and Foreman. Albert, do I risk it and wait for Ramondre? My other options would be Rashad White or Hollywood. Well, then you're okay. I think you're okay because Rashad White plays at 425. So yes, I would risk it because I would not start. And once again, man, Hollywood plays at 4 o'clock, so you're fine. You can wait. But I don't play Hollywood here. It's either Rashad or Ramondre. Ramondre's healthy, play him. If not, go Rashad. Am I rolling with Higgins today? I'm going to throw up if I think about it anymore. By one team that I have Higgins on, I have a bye weekend, so I'm like, I haven't really thought about it. But if he's the best overall player, then yes. If not, you can start someone else over him. Booger Dog, I want to flex Wilson, but quarterback Wilson can't read a defense, has no accuracy. Thinking Jets will try to limit quarterback downside by running the ball. Hard to not play Garrett. I mean, it's fair. Just remember that there was some good chemistry between Wilson and Wilson. You know, look back to week 8 against New England, 17.5 fantasy points for Garrett Wilson. That was a game where Zach Wilson was quarterback. 17.9 points in week 9. That was also a game where Zach Wilson was quarterback. That was against Buffalo. So against 2 good units, you know, that's the big thing to look at here, right? New England and Buffalo, two good defenses. They get Detroit this week. Detroit's run defenses look good, but their pass defense does not look good. This is a game where the game script's going to be positive for both teams. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but I do think that Wilson is okay today. The ceiling's a little bit limited, but I still think he's perfectly fine and a good start. Cameron, I'm so torn on ETN, Swift, or Rashad White. I feel like any of those guys can go off, 100%. I'd probably go White, Swift, ETN. But I completely agree. That's a problem with a lot of these questions is like, and these guys can. There's a lot of circumstances where these particular players can outscore each other. You know, and it's like we gotta look at matchup, then we also gotta look at game script, then we gotta look at production on the season, and even when we do that, we're not always right. You just never know. That's why I always say, trust your gut, follow your own conviction. But happy to give you guys my opinion as well, of course. All right, Falcons fan, Arizona's been giving up the most fantasy points to the tight end, 100%. Yeah, Greg Dulcich, still a good start, without a doubt. But I really like Pat Freiermuth. I think the bigger issue with Dulcich for me is backup quarterback situation. But you're right. Arizona can't defend the tight end position to save their life. Jane, Swift or Williams? You know, I went with Swift. I have a league where I own both as well. And it's tough. I feel like Swift is bringing the upside right now, but that could change on a weekly basis. It's very, very close. I went Swift. Could be wrong here. All it's going to take is for Jamal Williams to find the end zone, and he has a better stat line. But Swift is bringing a little bit more PPR upside. He's looked good in the last 2 weeks. I probably lean Swift, but they're both kind of risky options. And really, Swift kind of struggled last week. I mean, both Jamal and it just wasn't a good game script for them, right? I think this game's a little bit more competitive. Last week was competitive. It's just tough because the Jets are good against the run, you know? And Swift kind of brings that PPR upside. Jamal Williams has 1 target since week 9. DeAndre Swift has at least 3 targets in every game since week 5 and 4 or more targets in his last 3 games. So at least he's getting the receiving work. It was close. Booger Dog, I'm thinking Trevor Lawrence will have to dump off to ETN to avoid Cowboys pass rush. I mean, that's fair. And I do think there's some value in the game script here for ETN. But on the ground, I don't think he's going to have a good day. And, you know, in his last 3 games, although he got injured in week 12, so let's look at his last 2 games. 7.6 or less points, no touchdowns, 3 total targets in his last 2 games. When we look since week 8, he has 3 or less targets in every game. So, and even in the games where he was bringing more upside, he only had 5 targets. So, like, he hasn't been targeted a heavy amount. You know, 34 targets on the year, 25 receptions, 214 receiving yards. So, I worry about him. I really do. He's a player I've been panicking on this week. Paul, with Lattimore out, would you start Drake London over Chris Moore? No, I will go Chris Moore still because don't get me wrong. Both quarterback situations are bad, but at least we know what to expect out of Chris Moore going off of last week, right? We don't exactly know what to expect out of Ritter going to Drake London. So I go Chris Moore, but both are decent starts. Don't get me wrong. Robert, what's up, man? Zamir Knight, AJ Dillon, Stevenson, Higgins, Latavius Murray, Jamal Williams, Chark, Chris Moore, Ingram. Pick 2. Okay, PPR. Yeah, I mean, it's really tough here because, like, T. Higgins with the questionable mark, Stevenson with the questionable mark are probably the 2 guys you want to start. But then you got some issues there. So, if you feel like you can risk it and start Stevenson and Higgins, I think that's okay. If not, I'm probably going A.J. Dillon and Chris Moore or Zamir Knight and Chris Moore. The other issue is you have a lot of really good options here. So it's very, very, very close. But T. Higgins feels scary. Stevenson, they're going to see how he he's going to have a pre-game workout and everything and see how it goes. So 2 really good players that you don't want to bench that bring some risk. And then the issue is outside of A.J. Dillon, the other players are all playing at 1 o'clock, or at least the players that I think are the best there. So I think Chris Moore will have a good game. I think Zamir Knight in a tough matchup here. I don't know why I call him Zamir Knight. I get it's Zonovan Knight. I always say Zamir, but Zonovan Knight plays at 1 o'clock, and even a tough matchup, as like I still feel like he brings pretty good potential on the day. So Robert, it's really, really tough. Lots of good options. If you're worried about Stevenson and Higgins, I think you go Moore and Dillon or Moore and Knight. But let me know what your level is at with Stevenson and Higgins and who you are leaning towards on the day. All right, Fancy Dog with the $10 dono. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that, man. Merry Christmas to you as well, man. I appreciate that. We'll be sure to get some Christmas Eve action going on the channel. And it'll be fun, man. So I love Christmas. It's my time of year, bro. And I'm looking forward to the week. And I don't know why I can only find this emoji. Oh, here we go. So Santa in the chat for you, bro. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the $10 dono. Merry Christmas to you, man. I appreciate that, dog. Very, very kind to you, man. All right, trying to roll through things here. We're not too far behind. Fancy Dog, thank you so much for the dono, bro. But we only got like 10 minutes. I'm trying to fly through here. All right, Son of Jacob, what we got here? Godwin, B-Rob, Foreman. I would still flex Godwin, but I do like Brian Robinson. Would you start Robinson over Pacheco or Pollard? No. And like I said, I do like Robinson, but I'm not benching Pacheco or Pollard. Pacheco, great matchup against the Texans. Pollard, we're not benching Pollard, period. But yeah, I still go Godwin there. Just the volume's been way too good. Semi-tough matchup, but I still go Godwin. JT sold my season. I have Najee, Rashad White to replace him, and that's it. Who would you go with? I will go with Rashad White on a weekly basis, but if you have to go Najee, he's still okay. Like, okay. Next week, would you play Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, or Trevor? Deshaun is risky. Dak and Trevor have tough matchups. Yeah, I think the important thing to keep in mind is like this time of year, like these are big games. Cowboys at Philly next week. Big game for both teams. Matchups can kind of start to go out the window at this time of the year. T-Law gets the Jets. I'll say this. I probably wouldn't go Watson, but I would keep a close eye on how Jared Goff performs today against the Jets defense. If he performs well enough, then I probably go with Lawrence next week. But I'm telling you, man, I think Prescott's going to have a better game than the matchup leads him to believe. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, matchups are going to start to kind of go out the window, and defenses are going to be a little bit more vulnerable. And, I mean, think about a really good example last year is the Bills-Patriots game at the end of the season. And you had, like, the two best defenses in the league and just a high-scoring game because both these teams were trying to do anything to get to the playoffs. Andrea, what up? Good to see you. Hello, hello. CHB, should I drop Algier for Dobbs or Kevin Harris? My other running backs left to start are Purine and Ramondre. Or, excuse me, Pure, Strong, and Ramondre. No, I would probably hold on to Algier because at least you have Strong to replace Ramondre potentially, and it looks like you're pretty thin at running back, so I'd probably hold on to Algier just to see what happens. He's shown some, potential in the season. SJS, we hit that one already. B-Rob and Foreman for sure. Trust your gut between Etienne and Juju. J-Dubs, what's up, bro? Great to have you. What up, what up, what up? Pittsburgh also is a backup quarterback in as well. I mean, that's fair, but in a sense, Mitchell Trubisky is not really a backup quarterback. Like, technically he is, but don't forget, he started the season. And when he, look at the first 3 games, right? Those were his first 3 full starts on the season, right? Pat Freiermuth's stat lines in those 3 games: 12.5, 75 receiving yards, 5 receptions week 1. Week 2, 4 receptions, 22 receiving yards, a touchdown, 12.2 fantasy points. Week 3, 6.1 fantasy points, 41 receiving yards. So, I mean, going by the tight end position, those are really good numbers. Going by tight ends that aren't named Travis Kelce, those are good numbers. So I'm not worried about. Actually, the chemistry between Trubisky and Freiermuth was arguably better than it was between Pickens and Fearman. Good luck to you, Jane. Not rooting for you, though. You beat me twice this year. Kept me out of the playoffs, so. But good luck to you. Help me complete my DFS 100K lineup. Gallup or Moore. Go Chris Moore, baby. Do it. And if you want 100K, don't forget about me. Just kidding. I hope you win, man. Jay is watching the World Cup at the moment. Oh, I forgot that was on. That's right. Fields or Danny Dimes? Chase, I go with Fields, man. I think he's going to be all right. Which means that you'll probably start Danny Dimes. Okay. We got you, Booger Dog. What's up, A? I go Christian Watson 100%. I don't care if Romeo Dobbs is back. I'm going Christian Watson. Give me Watson all day long. Etienne or White? I go Rashad White, Chase, which means you'll probably start Travis Etienne. I go Rashad White. Paul. Drake London or Chris Moore? I still go Chris Moore just because I don't necessarily... I mean, don't get me wrong. Both quarterback situations here are bad. But at least we kind of know what to expect going off of last week with Chris Moore in the quarterback position for Texans. So, I go with Chris Moore. And I read some crazy stat about the Chiefs' defense against receivers that line up wherever the hell Chris Moore lines up. I haven't watched a lot of Texans games this year. But, yeah, I go Chris Moore. Brad, getting killed already in round 1, so I need high ceiling picks. Olave, McKinnon, Knight, Swift, pick 1. Dallas, Carolina, Arizona defense. I still go Dallas. You know, I mean, that's your best chance for a high ceiling, in my opinion, is still going to be Dallas in the defensive spot. Okay, pick 1. I'm sorry for the other. It's really tough because I like Olave. It's a good matchup. Overall, the Falcons have played really poorly against receivers, but he's going to get A.J. Terrell, who's back and healthy, who's a very good corner. McKinnon has a really good matchup. The Texans have been awful against opposing running backs, but we look at the last 2 games for the Chiefs when McKinnon has been performing. Those have been competitive matchups, right, where the Chiefs have had to throw the football against the Broncos last week and then against the Bengals in Week 13. I don't quite know that that's going to happen today against the Texans. I don't know. They played pretty well against the Cowboys last week, but I just don't know. I mean, I think McKinnon is actually the highest ceiling play coming off of a 32.4 performance going up against the Texans this week. But you just got to keep in mind, he had 22 rushing yards in Week 14, 51 in Week 13, a receiving touchdown in Week 13, 112 receiving yards last week and 2 receiving touchdowns, 7 receptions. So, like, he's getting his volume through the air. But I think he brings the most upside. The Knight and Swift are interesting because I think they're both good starts. But do they have a high ceiling? I'm not sure because they're going up against 2 good run defenses. You know, against the Lions and the Jets, so it's close. I would say the highest ceiling pick is McKinnon, but you have to keep in mind what comes with a high ceiling is risk. You know? Let me know who you're leaning towards, but I definitely go Dallas in the defensive spot. Amber, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for smashing that like. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. Cameron, thanks a ton. 100%, man. Hope you have a great day, man. Good luck to you as well. Anthony, Monty or ETN? I'd probably go Monty, but I think both are fine if those are your options. Both have bad matchups. Argentina, let's go, says J-Dubs. DJ Duvernay, what up? Evan Engram or Greg Dulcich? Very, 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 very close. Greg Dulcich has the better matchup. Evan Engram has a tough matchup against the Cowboys. He's going to regress in comparison to last week. Greg Dulcich has a backup quarterback throwing to him. So it's super close, man. Trust your gut. I'd probably go Evan Engram, but it's very close. I'm kind of fading Greg Dulcich even in a good matchup. I just don't know, like, what in the world we're going to get out of Ripien. I just don't know what Brett Ripien's going to do. He had 3.6 points last week. Don't get me wrong, he was only on the field for 14% of snaps. 8 attempts, 4 completions, 16 passing yards. He did throw a touchdown, did throw a pick. He did have a fumble that was recovered. I just don't know. I don't know, man. Basically, riding hot hand or better matchup. I mean, yeah, exactly. Evan Ingram, the hot hand play. Dolchich, the matchup. I think I'll go Ingram. If he gets 2 tutties again, I'll puke. Yeah, I mean, Ingram's going to regress. We know that. But I still think you go Ingram here. It's a close call for sure, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today's stream. Sorry I was a little bit late today. I was only on for like 45 minutes, but I feel like we got some good questions answered. So I appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate all the fantasy questions. Of course, we got kickoff for Sunday's slate of games for Week 15. In about 2 minutes here. So, of course, if you guys hop on Discord or message me on Instagram throughout the day, feel free to do so. I can get to anything that you guys need throughout the day and try to get to you as soon as I can, depending on what's going on today. So, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys coming out today. And, of course, I appreciate the fantasy questions. So, good luck to you guys, man. I'm rooting for all you guys today. Good luck to you guys. Week 16 waiver wires will come out tonight. I can't believe I'm saying that. I can't believe we're heading into week 16. So, yeah. And other than that, I'll be on tomorrow night. So, must-start defenses for week 16 will drop tomorrow, and we'll get into the rest of the must-starts for the week. So, crazy, man. Christmas week, week 16 of fantasy. I don't know what happened this year. So, all right, guys. Good luck to you guys. Remember, it's just fantasy. I know it's the playoffs. It's tough. It's easy to get upset. I get it, guys. But remember, it's just fantasy. Try and enjoy some football and have a great Sunday, and everyone be safe. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. With that, I'll say, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And